Lack of muscle usage means those muscles are going to get weaker and weaker. In this video, we're going to talk about soreness of muscles when you're trying to fix your hip impingement or your FAI. And we're going to talk about what causes it, what causes hip pain in general, and what you can do to navigate this as you are retraining the muscles of your hips. I'm Matt Chu from Upright Health, and today's video is inspired by a question that one of our FAI fixers asked us by email. So if you are interested in a program that can help you retrain your muscles because you've been told you have hip impingement, then be sure to check out the FAI fix. We'll have a link down below. I'm going to give you 3 key points in this video that you can apply to your own life. Keep them in mind so that as you are working on your own hips, you continuously get better. The first and major point we need to think about is what causes your hip pain when you have the FAI diagnosis. Doctors and surgeons will say that it's the bone shapes causing your hip pain and that's why you got to cut the bones. But study after study after study keeps showing that bone shapes of FAI and pain and range of motion problems have nothing to do with each other. These studies are done by professional medical researchers who are not me. So it's not like I'm making this up. It's major medical institutions doing the research and finding that FAI bone shapes don't have anything to do with hip pain. So what we want to do is think about muscles. Always think muscles. Diving a little bit deeper, we need to remember that lack of muscle usage means those muscles are going to get weaker and weaker and weaker. And then a lack of connection of brain to those muscles means it's going to be harder to actually fire those muscles, which means those muscles stay weak and they just atrophy. All of this leads to poor control and leads to discomfort when you start going into positions that seem to be really of minimal difficulty. You might think, hey, walking, standing, balancing on one foot is super easy. Why does this hurt? Well, if you have allowed muscles all over your hips to atrophy because all you do all day is sit in a chair, or you only train one sport that only moves your hips in one direction all the time, you're gonna have problems because you haven't been balancing out the muscles all around your hip joint. The second major point we want to think about is that when you're training any muscle, soreness and a temporary loss of extensibility is to be expected. For example, if you are going to go and train your biceps, you are going to notice that the next day or the day after, you're going to feel soreness and you're going to feel that your elbow doesn't quite straighten out as much as it used to. This is a very common and predictable effect of training any muscle. So when you're doing exercises that you find in any hip program, whether it's Healthy Hips 1 or the FAI Fix, you may feel like the next day after you've done something, your range of motion feels a little bit worse and you have extra soreness that you normally wouldn't have. That doesn't mean that you're doing more damage to your body. That means you're working muscles that you haven't worked before. And as muscles get acclimated to those exercises, your muscles will start to feel less sore and will get better and better at doing what you're asking. The third and final important point here is to be attentive to your body and be creative about how you deal with the temporary soreness and lack of extensibility that you are going to run into. The first thing you want to do here is just be aware, pay attention. If you are doing some exercise that gets you feeling so sore and crippled that you can barely walk, then you might need to dial things back a little bit. You may find that you actually need to do it again to get things to feel right, but you just need to do it at a lower intensity level. You may find that a little bit of self-massage using a lacrosse ball or a foam roller is going to help. You may find that doing a little stretching will restore the mobility. The key point here is that you don't want to just give up and be a victim to the discomfort and just say, oh, I am helpless against this. What you want to do is think about what can I actively do to keep teaching my hip muscles to move, to continue to get blood and continue to get stronger so that I can do the activities that I love. Another key point here is that you don't want to get caught in the trap of worrying about it as inflammation. Inflammation is a really hot word that doctors like to throw at anything that hurts. And again, I'm just going to tell you, always think muscles. Yes, you're going to be sore. Yes, those muscles are going to be whiny and complaining, especially if they haven't worked in a long time. And you still need to keep asking those muscles to work. I'll give you a really simple example. For me personally, I've wanted my hamstrings to get more and more flexible, and I found that training my hamstrings to get more strong in lengthened positions is not always comfortable. The muscles will actually be sore, but then what relieves the soreness is actually continuing to stretch, continuing to contract those muscles, continuing to tell my hamstrings, hey, you need to get better at being longer. And even though I wake up in the morning and the hamstrings will be like, no, I don't want to be longer and I don't want to be stronger, and they'll tighten up and be shorter, if I remind them again, hey, we're going to get length today, they do lengthen back out and my hips feel better and everything feels better in general. That doesn't mean I've always found that the path was easy and I always got better every single day. It's that I have been willing to engage with this discomfort and continuously work with it so that my hips continuously learn that they need to be better and better and better, regardless of any diagnosis a doctor has thrown at my hips. In my case, it alternated between you might have a labral tear to, oh, you definitely have arthritis, to you probably have FAI, to whatever. All of it, BS, doesn't matter. Always think muscles. So those are the 3 key points I want you to come away with. You want to remember that your hip pain is not a result of bone shapes, it's a result of lack of muscle usage. You want to remember that when you are training any muscle in your body, it's going to have temporary ups and downs. You're going to have some downs where those muscles don't feel so great, and you're going to need to proactively train those, right? Point 3 is to train them proactively and smart so that you are paying attention, you're learning what your muscles need so that you can continue to function and build more function so that you can do higher level functions every week, every month, every year. This is a process. It's not like you're going to get better just after one set of exercises, but as you continuously train your body, you should see that the jagged trend keeps getting better and better and better.
Change? Yeah. Big change.
If you're looking for a program to help you train your hip muscles, be sure to check out the FAI Fix if you've been told you have this crazy FAI thing. And if you haven't, and you've just got some hip stuff and you want a good beginner program to help you out with exploring your hip mobility, then be sure to check out Healthy Hips 1. We'll have links down below. I'm Matt Shu from Upright Health, reminding you that pain sucks. Life shouldn't.